Welcome to this introductory lesson on StatCrunch. In this particular video, we're going to use StatCrunch as in Chapter 2 in our textbook. We're going to be creating lots of graphs. So when you first log into StatCrunch, it looks like the following. And the important thing to start StatCrunch is you click on Open StatCrunch. Once you do that, you get something that looks like the following. You have some rows, you have variables across the top, you have data, statistics, graph, and help. Most of the time, your data is going to go down column 1 or column 2. All right, so the data must go down a column. You can't have your data wiggling across. So right here in this particular situation, I've input the data from our textbook on page 41. This is in section 2.1, and I'm looking at example 2.2, where we have 50 pieces of data that are recording temperature. So I've already input all of that data. And once I've done all of that, then I want to see about creating a histogram. Now, StatCrunch can make histograms, but you have to do a little work ahead of time. So now that my data is there, I click Graph, and there's all kinds of graphs to pick. I find the one that says histogram, so I click on that. My data is in column 1, so I'm going to select that. Notice it appears on the right. I don't need where, I don't need group by. Frequency is good because the histogram is a frequency plot. Now the part that you have to calculate ahead of time is, where is class 1 boundary? If you look in the textbook, they already did that. That's on page 42. And the first boundary begins at 99.5. The width of the interval is 5. And then as I come down, the only thing else I'm going to select is horizontal and vertical lines. And then when I click Compute, I get a picture which actually shows me the class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, all the way till the very last class. And on the right, I get the frequency. Now, at this point, to be able to do discussion questions and to do your test, you're going to have to get this picture and various pieces of information into Microsoft Word. So if I click here under Options, I do Copy. Alright, so notice how it gave me a new window, and it says right-click the image below to copy it. Alright, so I do Copy Image. Now notice it also gives me a tip there. It says in Word or PowerPoint, choose Paste Special, or you can do Alt-Control-V to paste it in. So I've already copied it, so now I come to Microsoft Word, and I find where I would like to paste it. So I'm going to click Alt, Control, and V, and it asks me, what am I pasting? I am pasting a device-independent bitmap, and so there is the picture in Microsoft Word. You'll be adding some words around it, describing it, and making some comments on it. You also can select it, and you could make it smaller if you like. Or if you want to make it bigger, you can make it bigger as well. Alright, so let's go back to StatCrunch now that we've talked about the histograms. Let me close all this up. Our next thing we're going to look at is bar charts. So I've already put some data in for that. And so my bar chart is the bar chart data. Alright, so in my bar chart data here, it's actually called a Pareto chart because I've got different categories: red, blue, green, orange, and some frequencies that go with them. So when I make a bar chart, I come here to graph again. Let's see, bar plot with summary. That's the one I want. Now it asks you, where are the categories? Well, the categories, namely the colors, are in variable 1. The counts are in variable 2. I don't need where, I don't need type, order by. That's where I would like to have the boxes descending. The confusing part is you need to pick count descending. So it actually makes the boxes go in descending order. I can have it display the value above the bar so it's easier to see. And horizontal and vertical lines are always nice. So when I do that, I get this Pareto chart where it has all the categories along the bottom. They are descending, and I do have the actual frequencies sitting there above the bar, so it's easier to see. If I wanted to use my same data and make a pie chart, so I can move this one over. So I'll do graph pie chart with summary. Again, I get to pick categories in variable 1. The counts are in variable 2. Display. I think I only want to display the percentage. Order by, again, I'm going to do count descending. And everything else should be fine. So when I click compute, I get a picture which is a pie chart, which shows me all of my categories. It gives me the exact percentages of the whole on the right. And again, if I wanted to paste this into Microsoft Word, I do Options, Copy, gives me the picture, right-click, Copy Image, come back to Microsoft Word. There's our old graph. I scroll down the page a little, and now I do Control-Alt-V again. It's a device-independent bitmap, and there's my pie chart. And again, you can scale it to make it larger or smaller, and in that case I was able to get 2 on one screen. Alright, so we've looked at pie charts, we've looked at Pareto charts. Our next thing we want to look at is time series. So in this case, let me get my data for time series. And so what I did is I put some years in variable 1, and I put my counts for those years in variable 2. So I come to graph. I would like to make a time plot. Alright, so the confusing part here is it says select columns. My data is only in variable 2. So I'm only going to select variable 2. I don't need a start index. Mine is by years. So I come to time, the type. Well, I do have years, so I'm going to find year. It wants the start year, so 1970. And notice my years have to go in a particular increment. Mine are incremented by 10-year time span. And when I say compute, what I get is a time series graph which shows you for 1970 the frequency was 6, 1980 it was 7, and you get to see a time series. So StatCrunch will also do time series graphs for you. Alright, let's look what other kinds of graphs we can do. We can do stem and leaf. So if I come to my data for stem and leaf, I just have some data there in column 1. Notice I have stuff that's under 10, in the 10s, and some stuff that are in the 20s. So I do graph, stem and leaf. Which column is my data? Or I'd have to tell it it's in variable 1. I don't want any outlier trimming. I want to see all of the numbers. And so when I do compute, you can see there the stems are 0, 1, and 2. The leaves you can see there on the right, and the leaves are in ascending order. The last kind of graph we want to look at is if we have paired data. And so that would create for us a scatter plot. So I've got two pairs of data, essentially an X and a Y. So I want to make a scatter plot. So it asks me, which one are the X's? Well, the X's are in variable 1. The Y's are in variable 2. Don't really need any of this. I want to display only the points themselves. We're not making the lines, so I don't really need to worry about lines. You could make the points larger or smaller. I'm going to leave them there. I always do like to add horizontal and vertical lines because it makes things easier to look at. So when I see this then, what I see is the pairing of data. I've got 10, 2. That's that point. And then I've got 15, 6. Right there is the 15, 6. 20, so over 20 and up 12. All right, that concludes our basic lecture on StatCrunch and how to make some graphs.